everyone. My name is Carolyn Kissane, and I'm from New York University, the Center for Global Affairs, the School of Professional Studies, and we are just delighted to be the academic partner for this fantastic event that the World Women Foundation is hosting. I'm also delighted to be with my really fantastic colleague, Bree Newland from the Preston Jonathan Tisch Institute of Global Sport, who will be joining you in a few minutes. But I have to say, in terms of thinking about what we're talking about today, and as Reshma pointed out, the theme for Davos this year is cooperation in a fragmented world. We're living in a period of dramatic disruption, both negative and, I hope, positive, which we'll be focusing on today in terms of when we think about the equality moonshot. We have Russia's reinvasion of Ukraine. We have a climate crisis. We have conflict in many different parts of the world. We have, awful rights being stripped from women and girls in Afghanistan. We have, protests in Iran, that are really quite extraordinary to see now 4 months in the making. And yet, with everything that's going on, we are here today to talk about a moonshot. And if you think about what the definition of a moonshot is, it was oftentimes thought of as a long shot, something that was impossible. But as Reshma pointed out, in terms of we got to the moon, and when JFK actually made the announcement of a man going to the moon, he pointed out that, we choose it not because it is easy, but because it is hard. So we understand that when we're talking about today's equality moonshot, we know that it will be difficult. It's big, but it is definitely not insurmountable. We are, I think everyone here are positive disruptors. We are seeking change. We represent multiple different sectors. We inspire motivation and passion. And I think when we think about a moonshot, we're thinking about audacity. Like really, really digging in and saying, how can we redefine the future, redesign the future so that many of the topics we'll be talking about today, we're not talking about in 20 years, that we're not waiting 132 years for gender pay parity. That, one of the themes that I've heard a lot here when the issue of gender equality has come up is in some cases we can act so swiftly to make change. The COVID vaccine, the world really came together and we just focused on it and we made it happen. So I believe that we can make gender equality a reality and that we can do it in our lifetimes. It's going to take a lot of work, but we are future shapers and we can do it. And I think that, today I'd like us to sort of think about how we visualize that change. How do we put that change into action? And, how we can all be a force for change. The work at the School of Professional Studies at NYU, and we're very much about sort of thinking about where can we make a difference? How can we influence and inspire students to go out into the world and make a difference in their respective areas of work? And I think that's kind of important in terms of why we wanted to be an academic partner for today's event, because much of what is being discussed today is the work that we're doing at the School of Professional Studies at New York University. So it really is a tremendous privilege and honor to have this opportunity. And I'd also like to sort of really encourage all of us. One of my colleagues at NYU, he wrote a book called The Serendipity Mindset. And when I think about serendipity, I think of Davos is a pretty extraordinary sort of testing ground for putting serendipity into action, for looking around, making connections, making change happen. So I'd really like us today in this room to bring serendipity to life. Please get to know each other. please make sure that, you don't just sort of say hello, share each other's names, but really sort of think about what you can do together and how you can make that happen. So I'd love us to sort of really focusing on connecting, collaborating, and cooperating as we think about and create the future. So we have an amazing agenda today. So I hope that you'll all stay and participate, and we really do want to make it as conversational as possible, because this is a conversation. It's an ongoing conversation. So what gets discussed today, we're going to be sort of taking it out into our respective work in our lives. We have a beautiful, beautiful young student here who we're going to hear from later. But I think there's so much energy in this room, and I am really just delighted to have the opportunity to participate and to contribute. So thank you all so very much for being here, and let's let the day get started. Thank you very much.